The Good Samaritan, a story of love and compassion. Have you ever wondered how far you would go to help someone? In a world where indifference often prevails, the parable of the Good Samaritan invites us to reflect on what it truly means to love our neighbor. Get ready to dive into a story that transcends time, revealing deep lessons on compassion and empathy. Imagine yourself traveling on a desolate road between Jerusalem and Jericho. It's a route known for its beauty but also its dangers. The sun shines brightly, and you can hear the wind whispering through the rocks. Suddenly, a man is attacked by bandits. They beat him, steal everything he has, and leave him near death. He cries out for help, but the echo of his pleas disappears into the air. Who will save him? This is the first question that comes to mind. As you imagine the desperation of this man, think about what it would be like to be in his position. What would your expectations be? What would you hope for from others? This is a moment that we could all face in our lives, where we feel lost and hopeless.
Soon, a priest approaches the wounded man. You think finally someone who can help, but to everyone's surprise, the priest walks right by, ignoring the cry for help. Then a Levite approaches. He also sees the man, but decides to continue on his way without offering any help. What could be going through their minds? Was it their duties, fear, or perhaps a belief that helping was too risky? What are the challenges that prevent us from acting when we see someone in need? These questions echo in the minds of onlookers. Back then, helping a wounded man could mean coming into contact with blood and becoming impure, which could disrupt the priests' and the Levites' routines. However, what really matters here is the decision we make in critical moments. Then a Samaritan appears, a man from a people who at the time were despised by the Jews. You wonder, what will he do? Will he also ignore the wounded man? But to our surprise, the Samaritan stops, and compassion fills his heart. He approaches, cares for the man's wounds, and takes him on his own animal to an inn. At this moment, you might ask yourself, what made this man act so differently from the others? What does this mean for us today? The Samaritan doesn't hesitate. He sees a suffering human being, regardless of their background. And what does this tell us about compassion? Have you ever stopped to think about how difficult it can be to break down barriers and prejudices? How often do we let the difference between us and others prevent us from acting? The Samaritan not only takes care of the wounded man, but also pays for his lodging and treatment. He cares about his well-being, even though he's a stranger. He tells the innkeeper, "Take care of him, and if you spend more, I will pay you on my next visit." This attitude raises a powerful question. What would you do in the Samaritan's place? It would be so easy to justify indifference, wouldn't it? But the Samaritan shows us that love and compassion have no limits. Now let's consider the people we encounter in our lives. Who are the wounded around us? Perhaps they are those facing financial difficulties, health problems, or even loneliness. And are you willing to be a good Samaritan to them? Imagine for a moment the impact the Samaritan's actions had on the wounded man's life. It wasn't just a matter of physical healing. It was an emotional and spiritual rebirth. The man who was on the brink of succumbing to despair now experienced kindness in its purest form. What do you think went through the mind of the wounded man when he woke up and saw someone taking care of him? How would that change his perspective on life and others? This story leads us to reflect on the importance of not only helping but also seeing the humanity in others. And what about the legacy of the Good Samaritan? His story echoes through the centuries, challenging us to be better. Today, when we hear the term Good Samaritan, why we think of someone who does good without expecting anything in return. But do we truly live this way? How many opportunities have you missed to help someone because you were too busy or distracted? The story of the Good Samaritan is a constant reminder that kindness is a choice we can make in every small action. And it applies not only to strangers, but also to friends and family. At the end of this narrative, we are faced with a fundamental question. Who is our neighbor? The answer is not just about those who look like us or share similar circumstances. It's about all of us. May we be inspired by the courage and compassion of the Good Samaritan. Let's be the ones who not only see but also act. May our willingness to help others make a difference in the world. Remember, true compassion is not measured by how easy it is to act, but by the depth of love we have for others. As we close this story, Let's commit to being good Samaritans in our daily lives. So now I invite you to look around and ask yourself, who needs your help today? May we always be ready to act with love and compassion. Were you touched by this message? The parable of the Good Samaritan challenges us to look around and be the answer for those in need. And now I want to invite you to be part of this mission. Subscribe to the channel Daily Faith Devotions for more messages that inspire, transform, and strengthen your faith. Leave a like if this story spoke to your heart. Comment below, what does this parable mean to you? How can we be good Samaritans in today's world? Share this video with someone who needs this message of love and compassion. Let's spread God's word and transform lives together. May God bless you.